Microsoft Moviemaker how-tos. This tutorial will teach you about how to import images, record sound clips, add background music, set slide transitions or movie transitions, and export as a movie. Tip: Moviemaker is connected to operating systems, so stick with one computer to complete any Moviemaker project. Anytime you start a Moviemaker project, you should always save your project file first, right at the beginning, and you should have already set up a file folder for the project, either on your desktop or in your documents or on a USB. So you're going to save the project as, and you can see here, I've already set up a folder on my desktop called MS Moviemaker Tutorial Project. So all the pieces of my project are here. All of my background music, photos for what I'm going to be using, and my sound clips. And then you're going to give your project file a name. Now this is what you're going to do as you're saving your work as you go. You're going to keep saving it as a project file until you're completely done before you render the movie. Okay, so you're going to do that. So I'm going to hit save. And you can see at the top it's now saving it as MS Moviemaker. So anytime you add new content or do some work on your project, you have to get into the habit of saving as you go. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add a title to my movie. So I'm going to start by adding the title, and I'm going to change the font color to something else. I really like the lime green, so I'm going to do the lime green. I could make it bold, I could change the location, I'm going to put it kind of at the top, and then you can add an effect for that title, so you can make it kind of like that. I think I'll choose the cinematic burst, so I'm going to do that. Add some images, so I'm going to go back to the home on the ribbon, and I'm going to add my images or videos. So in this case I'm going to add some images. Okay, so if you want, again, you'll go back to your folder on the desktop, and I'm going to find the photos that I selected for this. I'm going to, just easier. If you shift on the first one, hold the shift key down on your keyboard and then click on the last one, it will highlight all of them so you can import all of them at one time. You can do it individually, but you can do them all at once. So here are all my images. So I can then work on moving these around in the order that I'd like them. So let's say I want this one to be first and I want this one to be at the end. You can just move them around in the order that you want to have them. Okay, and if you notice that with each of the images that I imported, there was a tag with some text with the images, and the reason that happened is they all came from Britannica Image Quest, where you can find copyright-free images, and it comes with tags to explain the photo. So I'm just going to remove those because I'm going to be adding my own sound clips. You could also edit these and make your own text, but I'm just going to remove all of them because that's not necessary for this project that I'm doing. I'm going to be adding some sound clips and some narration. So once you do that, you just right mouse click on each of those little pink boxes at the bottom and you can click remove. Alright, so now I've added the title and I've added the images, so I got to make sure I go up to my save project this time so that I'm saving any changes that I make as I go. Alright, so now I'm going to add some sound. So let's say if I start with this particular section and I want to add some sound to explain this. So I'm going to show you two things. First of all, you can add narration to your actual movie. So here I'm going to record narration, and you do need a microphone to do this. So you do need to have a mic attached to your computer, or you're going to use the microphone that comes built in. I've got a microphone, so I'm going to hit record narration. It's asking me what audio device I want to have, so I'm going to hit OK. And at the top left here, you can see that it's asking you to record. So let's say I wanted to record this particular image. I wanted to say some things about it, so I'm going to do that. So here is a picture of a knee replacement in an animated picture showing you what it's going to look like when it's finished. And I'm going to stop now. Okay, now it's going to save it as an audio file. So again, you want to save this. So I'm going to call this narration one, just like it did here, because maybe there's some other clips that I'm going to do. And I'm going to add it again to the folder I set up on my desktop. and I'm going to put it under sound clips because that's what this is, sound clips for my movie. So let's just play that to sort of see if it did what we wanted. In an animated picture showing you what it's going to look like when it's finished. And I'm going to... Okay, so I went into the next image. If I wanted to edit this sound clip, I could do that by going up to the narration tool, hitting options, and I could change the endpoint. So if I wanted to end a little bit sooner before it goes to that picture, I can change this, and you notice that it's going closer to the edge. So let's say I wanted to cut this sound clip so that it finished right when that image was leaving. So if I do that, knee replacement in an animated picture showing you what it's going to look like when it's finished. Okay, so it's a perfect edit there. Now let's say I wanted to add a clip to this particular image that I have recorded on a phone or an iPod or some other device, an iPad, or on my computer, that I want to import the sound. So you're going to go up to the record narration again, and then you're going to add sound. You can do this with sound effects as well. Again, I'm going to go to the desktop where I've got all my project files, and I'm going to put sound clips because I've saved one here that I'm going to import. Okay, so this one I did on my cell phone, and I mailed it to myself. I used Quick Voice on my iPhone. Let's just test to see how it sounds.
This is some text that I could be adding to my tutorial to help explain something. So if I wanted...
Okay, so let's say I wanted to change the start time. You can slide it to the beginning where you want it. I want it sort of to start with that image there. And so I can change again, I can change the start time so it can shrink it down a little from the beginning. And you can do the same with the end point. So if I wanted it to finish before the next image is there, I can just shorten this down and it'll move the sound. So you want to make sure that it doesn't cut off sound that you want, so you have to do some listening. And at the bottom here, you can make this bigger. So you can use this tool at the bottom right to make your, so you can have more opportunity to do fine editing here, okay, of the piece. So I wanted to add some music, background music. So I'm going to go to add music, and whenever you're adding music, you should either have purchased a song in iTunes that you're going to use, and you want to have that file, the music file, in the folder for this project. I'm going to save before I do this because, as I told you, you have to save the project as you go so that I don't lose anything if something should happen. And now I'm going to go to add music. So because I'm publishing this to YouTube, I can't include music that I've purchased in iTunes. I have to choose royalty-free music because I'll get a copyright violation notice attached to YouTube. So I have some sounds here, some background music. This is all from a royalty-free music that I found online. Try this, and I'm going to add my music. Okay, so now the music track is there, and I've got my narration track underneath, but you're going to see what happens if I go to play this. Knee replacement in an animated picture showing you what the background music is too loud for my narration, so I can change that. If I click on my narration and I go up to the tools, I can actually select the volume. I want the narration volume to be louder than the music part. Okay, so I can go back, and now I can hit the music tools at the top, and I can have the volume set a little bit lower. So that's what I would do, is I'd lower the volume of the background music, especially if you're adding sound clips. So let's just have a listen to this again. I just want to hear knee replacement in an animated picture showing you what it's going to look like when it's finished. Okay, so you can also, at this point, you could also clip the music. You could split it at the beginning here. So if you wanted to split the music so that there is no music at all when you're speaking, you can go up here to the split key, and you'll notice now that it made this into two pieces. So I can do the same thing here. So if I want to split the song, now I've got this piece of music that I can just delete. Okay, so now when I go back here and I push play, I have music for my introduction, and when it gets my first narrated part, knee replacement in an animated picture showing you what it's going to look like when it's finished. starts again for the remainder. So there's choices you have. You can have the music set behind, or you can clip it right out. Okay, so I've added something, so I'm going to go up to File. I'm going to save my project. Again, this is just all the project file that I'm saving. I've got my background music added. And now let's say I wanted to add some transitions of each of my images. So to do that, you click on the section and you go up to Animation, and you can select some of these different animations. So let's say I wanted to have this kind of mosaic before my video starts, and I just would select that. I could then go to the next clip and I could choose something different. Okay, so again, you can set these, you can have them all the same by hitting Apply All, or you can choose them to be different. Okay, so there's all kinds of effects that you can have, that you can add to the videos as you're building it. Okay, so that it'll hold those transitions. So you want the movie to have a flow, and especially if you're using images, this way it makes it look like they're not images, that they're actually moving. Okay, so again, I've added something new. I'm going to save the project. Add some credits at the end. So we want to you can add credits here at the top. Okay, and again, you can type in what you want to have credits. If you wanted to thank people, or if you've videotaped other students, you might give them some attribution here. Again, you can do all the things you can do with text. So you can make it different sizes. You can change the color to put your credits. You can change the size of it. So maybe I want it to be a bit bigger. You want it to be bold. You want to move it to a different location or a bigger part of the screen. You can then give it a transition. So in this case, that transition will be to have it moving upwards as credits do. Okay, so I'm going to do a final save of my project. And now I'm ready to render the movie. I'm actually ready to make this into a movie format. And what happens is it's best to use the one over here because it's a different process. So if you use over here, that's how you save the project. So I always like to teach students to use, when you're finished the movie, to use this tool. And you would save recommended for this project. And what it's going to do is it's actually going to flatten all the components of this video. So the narration, the images, the text that I've put, it's going to flatten it into one file. So if I'm going to save it in my project file, and I'm going to hit save. Do not leave this process for the last minute because it takes time. So I paused my video just so I would show you. It took over 4.5 minutes to do this 1-minute movie, to render it. So it's important to leave time for it. I just want to show you what happens at the end here when it's finished. Movie format. And then that way, if it's not what you wanted, then that way you can go back and open your project file and re-render it a second time. Okay, so that is the tutorial. Now that was easy.